Drake is the LeBron James of rap music. There's no other way to put it. I know they aren't seeing eye to eye right now. They're going through some personal issues. They may never be friends again. And that's okay with me because I'm looking at this from a career and a business standpoint. There's no way that you can look at both of their careers and not see the similarities. It's almost a mirror image of each other. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the 5 main points that show me that Drake is really the LeBron of the rap music game. We'll go through each point, I'll explain a bit, but at the end of the video, I want you to go into the comment section and let me know what you think. Do you think that Drake and LeBron James are comparable, or would you say that Drake is another person from the NBA or maybe even another sport? So I won't hold you any longer. Let's get straight into it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and let's roll. Now let's set the scene here. Drake and LeBron James. Drake hits the scene for the first major time in 2009. Now, at this time, the recognized GOATs of the game, Biggie, Nas, Jay-Z, they're seasoned veterans, or rest in peace to Biggie and Pac, they're beyond their prime. Lil Wayne and Kanye West are carrying the genre, but new blood was needed. Drake burst onto the scene with undeniable talent and generational skill that combined both hip hop and R&B. Now hold that thought where I talk about the combination of skills to form something that the game has never seen. LeBron James, drafted in 2003. Michael Jordan has retired, considered the greatest player of all time. Kobe and Shaq are dominating the league. You still have Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, a host of other players, but none of them are LeBron. LeBron James' size, speed, athleticism, combined with the skill is something that the game had never seen before. His talent was recognized from his debut. The league needed him, even if they didn't know it yet. He was deemed the chosen one. So let's keep that on our mind as we work through the 5 glaring similarities between Drake and LeBron James. Now, the first similarity is just the numbers, the statistics. Numbers don't lie. LeBron James is the most dominant statistical NBA player ever. He's the all-time leader in points, both regular season and playoffs. He has the most playoff series wins. He's number 4 all-time in assists. You name the category, LeBron is there, due to just sheer dominance and also due to longevity. Now let's mirror that to Drake. Drake has the most number 1 singles, the most number 1 albums. He's the most streamed artist ever. He has albums that came out a decade ago that are still performing on the charts today. Drake is him when it comes to the numbers. So when you look at LeBron's career and you look at Drake's career, you see that when it comes down to just the stats, there's no one else who can really compare. If you're someone who judges greatness off numbers, you have to look at LeBron and say, yes, that's the greatest player of all time. If you're someone who looks at music and you look at numbers, you say, yeah, Drake is the most dominant hip hop artist of all time. There's really no question there when you look at just the numbers. Now, there's obviously more to it, right? I don't just judge music based on who's the best selling artist, and I don't judge who's the greatest player just off who averages the most points or who the all-time leader in points is. But if you're just looking at it from that level, they're there, right? You have to take that into account when you're measuring how great someone is. You have to take that into account when you're comparing careers across different platforms or different playing fields, from music to basketball. And it's not all good things when it comes to Drake and LeBron James. They are 2 of the most scrutinized people of all time. And one of the main things that people like to talk about with both of them are the era that they compete in. We could start with LeBron here. They're going to say, oh, this era is soft. Players whine, players take plays off, load management, all of these things. LeBron couldn't have survived in the 90s. Like a guy who's 6'8", 200 something pounds couldn't have played in the 90s. Like, that's just nonsense, right? I'm all for comparing. I'm all for competition, just like LeBron is. So if you think LeBron is soft, you don't really know basketball. That's an asinine take. And then when it comes to Drake, they say, oh, Drake isn't real hip hop. Drake wouldn't survive in the 90s or the 80s, as if LL Cool J didn't exist, who was a global rap superstar who also made pop music, right? Like, people just try to throw out these points to do anything to criticize them, like they can determine when they were born or when they started making music. That's not up to them. These are the cards they were dealt, and they excelled in an era that is more competitive. They excelled in an era where people are under more scrutiny. Rap artists have never been watched more than they are right now. From Instagram posts to what they do outside to modern day paparazzi, It's the same thing as the NBA. Anytime they leave their house, there's a camera there. So they have to deal with a different set of pressures than their predecessors did, but it doesn't make them less than. So please stop trying to tear them down because of where they compete, and let's start to recognize that competition is still here no matter which way you want to slice it. And you can't be a champ, you can't be a GOAT, you cannot fall into the category of one of the best ever if you don't take some losses, because losses build character. Michael Jordan took losses to the Pistons before he won a championship. He took losses to Larry Bird before he won a chip. But when LeBron James loses, people use that as a knock against him, right? He's been swept before. He lost to the Mavericks and he had a meltdown in the finals, but that made him into the guy that he is. But those losses are always being held against him when it comes to comparing him to his contemporaries. It always comes up. And I'm someone who does it myself, so I'm not above it. You've seen me debate on sports shows about this all the time. And the same holds true for Drake. I believe that the story of Adidon was not better than Duppy, but public perception, because of what happened where they're talking about, Drake having a child, that swung the public narrative, right? If you just watch what happened last year with the Kendrick Lamar battle, the public perception is that Drake took a loss, right? And people will continue to hold that against him for the rest of his career. So both of them have these losses on their resumes that people will use to knock them. But a loss in a battle or a loss in the NBA Finals doesn't make you not one of the best, if not the best of all time, right? It's just something you went through. Jay-Z lost the battle to Nas. That's what public perception says. Does that disqualify Hov from the GOAT argument? Does that mean that Jay-Z didn't bounce back from ether stronger than ever? I mean, he said it himself. So you got to look at these things and say, why are these people's losses held so harshly against them? Drake and LeBron James, no matter how great they are, there will always be someone who wants to remind them of one moment from their career. Even LeBron's been playing 23 years. Drake has been at the top of the game for over a decade. It's like all those things go out the window when you want to talk about these small moments from their careers. And the other thing is that you have to have appreciation for the both of them for longevity. Now, I believe Michael Jordan is the GOAT. I'm a Steph Curry fan. So I'm not even the biggest Bron guy, right? I'm not a big LeBron James fan in that sense, but I respect him so much because his longevity is something that we have never seen before. And the same goes for Drake. LeBron James has been in the NBA for 23 years. That means he spent more time in the NBA than he was alive before he got there, right? He got to the league at 18. He's played in the league 23 years. He's been in the league more than 50% of his life. And he's done it at a high level since day one. He's competed at the highest level from the moment he was drafted. You have to tip your hat to that. There's no way you can appreciate greatness in anything if you can't recognize that, because no one has ever done that like LeBron James. Now you look at Drake. Rappers' careers are typically short-lived. Drake is almost at the 20-year mark, and he's on over a decade of dominance, of being the number one guy in his genre. Never been done before. DMX had a small run, right? He had those 2 albums, back-to-back bangers. 50 Cent's run was small. Hov, people say, oh, he was never really the number one guy for multiple years in a row. Jeezy, Ross, Wayne had a white hot run. Mace, Tupac, Big, you name whoever you want. None of them have ever dominated for as long as Drake. No one has withstood battles like Drake and willingly engaged in them. Didn't duck smoke from anybody, right? If you want to say win, loss, whatever, he didn't duck. LeBron James got to the finals. Even if he took a loss, he got there and he fought. No matter which way you want to talk about these guys, you must respect that, because you know what type of competitor you have to be to continue to show up year after year when you've earned over $1 billion. LeBron James is a billionaire. Drake is probably, if not a billionaire, he's close to it, right? Over career earnings and over endorsements and all kinds of deals that both of them have. Do you know what type of drive it takes to show up every single day, every single year, and drop albums and go on tours when you could simply walk away and retire? That's what greatness is, because you're not doing it for money. You're doing it for the love, right? They love this thing more than anything else. So the longevity between the two, It is mirrored. It's the same exact thing. And the next thing is the way that they got there. How did they get to this level? They did it differently than everyone else from the past. LeBron James and Drake both used collaboration to elevate their careers. Now, people want to credit LeBron James with forming the super team. The Celtics did that long before him, and I don't even mean like the big three Celtics, like the Celtics of the 70s and 80s did this. Other superstars have done it, but LeBron did it in a different way. But he used the collaboration and player empowerment movement, which he was on the forefront of, to make his career even greater. Now, if you look at music, Drake used collaboration to make himself even better, right? He worked with artists and shined light on artists who were on the up and up, and it became a mutually beneficial relationship. These artists don't become as big without Drake, and Drake also benefited from them because he was riding a wave and putting light on it to make it a better situation for everyone, right? You can look at the Migos, you can look at Fetty Wap, you can look at Block Boy JB. Drake gave them some records, but he also jumped on their records to just pour gasoline on a fire. Lil Baby, Gunna, whoever. Go on and on, you can name it. They both worked with others to make themselves even better and even greater. And that is powerful in itself. I mean, rappers have always collaborated, but look at rap over the last year. When Drake isn't giving out features or jumping on records, look at how it's negatively affected hip hop as a whole. There are no rap songs right now charting on Billboard. Okay. Do you see what happens when you pull yourself away? If LeBron James decided to pull himself away and didn't go to Miami, that affects the career of Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. It affects the career of Anthony Davis. It affects the career of Luka Doncic. It affects the career of Kyrie Irving. You don't know how these things play out if those players didn't choose to engage in a mutually beneficial relationship. It's the same thing. So the way that they pioneered and engineered this is something different than all of their contemporaries, but it worked in their favor and it benefited both the NBA and hip hop as a whole. The legacy of both of them will likely be forever entwined. As I said, they're going through their personal differences that may never be resolved. But when you tell the story of the NBA, you cannot tell that story without LeBron James. When you tell the story of rap music, you cannot tell that story without Drake. And the way that they did it will forever be studied, right? Drake is not from New York. He's not from LA. He's from Toronto. He put his city on the map. LeBron James, the same thing. Put Cleveland basketball, right? Coming from Ohio, coming out of high school, he put a lot of those programs on the map because no one's ever done it like him, right? They are one of a kind rapper, artist, one of a kind basketball player and entrepreneur. They have elevated themselves and elevated everyone with them. And that's what's so special about Braun and Drake is that he lifted the entire NBA and Drake lifted the entire genre. And as they are on their way out towards the tail ends of their careers, what it looks like, you know, definitely for LeBron, you're going to see how it affects the league in a negative way because he was the shining star for so long. Love or hate Drake, he shined a light on hip hop. And as he disappears, and if he chooses to ever take time off, and if he chooses to never collaborate, hip hop doesn't shine as bright because he's needed in the clubs. He's needed on social media. He's needed as a collaborator. He's needed as an A&R who engineers and puts work together and puts artists together because he knows music that well. The game needs them, for better or for worse. You can hate somebody. Well, you shouldn't hate anybody, especially like an artist who you don't know. You shouldn't hate on that person. But you can say, I'm not a fan of him. But you have to recognize what he does for the game. Same way you might not be a fan of LeBron. You might be a fan of Curry. You might be a fan of KD. But you have to recognize what he brings to the table. And that is what we need more of. Appreciation for the GOATs. Appreciation for the people who elevate the game, because if you spend all your time tearing them down, it only takes away from the thing that you claim that you love. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think I made a good comparison between LeBron and Drake? I think it's a good one, but I'm always willing to debate as long as it's respectful. Again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and let's continue to grow the channel. Salute.